guys, welcome back. This is By the Book, and we are your married relationship coaches. Today, we're going to go over a video with you by TD Jakes that my husband and I came across, and we found it kind of interesting. So we just want to talk about it with you and get your opinions on it and share some of ours. So without further ado, go ahead and play that video for us all.
All right.
If Adam had not allowed Eve to pour into him, sin would have never come into the world. Sin came into the world because Adam broke the order. We were not designed to receive from women. Your self-esteem is compromised when you have to ask your wife for lunch money. I'm not saying you got to be rich. I'm not saying you got to be famous. I'm saying that you have got to be the one who pours in, not the one who takes out. When Adam started eating out of his wife's hand, sin came in because the divine order was broken. This breaks all sociological order of the culture we're living in now. Because we are raising up women to be men. And you are not applauded for your femininity. You are applauded in the contemporary society by how tough, rough, nasty, mean, aggressive, hateful, possessive you are, and you are climbing the corporate ladder, but we are losing our families. I know you can buy your own car. I know you can buy your own house. But until you create a need that I can pour into, I have no place in your life. So stop coming home bragging to me about how much you don't need me and wonder why I shy away. Oh, y'all ain't gonna talk back to me this morning. The conversation has become, let's prove to the men how dispensable they are. And it is born out of pain because we hurt you and betrayed you and lied to you and cheated to you. And you became like you became out of pain. Oh, Lord, I told you they wasn't going to like this, Jesus.
Well, stop the video right there. I think he gave us enough to discuss and kind of for us to kind of like open up. This is a hot topic of definitely in our climate and dating in the dating world right about now, where men are having issue with women saying that they don't need them. Yeah. And so here he is, Bishop T.D. Jakes, trying to address this issue within our culture, within, like I said, the dating arena, the dating market, and to where men are taking this very serious. Women have been saying, that they don't need men. And so he's addressing this from the pulpit. And so first off, overall, my question is to my wife, overall, how do you think he did as far as addressing this issue that has been kind of plaguing our men and our women, for at least a couple of years now?
Yeah, no, first of all, it's been plaguing us for far more than a couple of years. Mm-hmm. This is something that's decades and decades and decades in the making, and we've landed here because of our history. Mm-hmm. I think that as that video reached its end, he was kind of getting to some of the root of it, at least surface level roots, like right there at the ground. But he didn't dig quite deeper, so I would have really liked to see what else was to that sermon. Mm-hmm. If there was more that he had to say. My husband is fiddling with the video, so I'm distracted. I'm like,
there we go.
Anyway, yeah, I would like to see if there was more that he had to say, because I think this is an issue that we kind of like in a roundabout way address time and again, because a lot of these arguments, these issues, these fights, the aggression that we see coming from both sides, gender wise, they come from that very mentality. Women over the decades have gotten tired of being left and to fend for themselves. You know, this started generations ago, where our women in particular were left to raise families on their own, and they had to stand up and be independent. It wasn't something that they necessarily wanted or that they were accustomed to or that they had seen in generations previous happen. We saw, you know, like our great-grandparents and our great-great-grandparents be in marriages that lasted. They may not have been the greatest, but, you know, mom and dad were home. And we saw with our parents and maybe even some of us, our grandparents' generation, we saw that began to break down, where, you know, dad was leaving mom at home with 3, 4, 5, 6 kids and she's trying to figure it out. And so was it born out of hurt, as T.D. Jakes said? Maybe, maybe not, but it most certainly was born out of necessity. If you're left at home with 6 kids and you can't support them, what are you going to do? They're going to be taken away. And so as a mother, you have to stand up and do what a mother has to do.
True.
Should she have to do it by herself? No. But in the absence of dad, yeah, she has to do it by herself. And so, sure, it has become a point of pride for women, a point of independence for women to say, no, if you leave me, you're not leaving me over a barrel. I'll be fine by myself. That's something that we've had to adapt to, and we've done it. We've done it successfully, and it's very interesting to me. It becomes frustrating to me when I see men attack women for having that mentality, when over the generations of time, men are the ones who kind of put us in this position in the first place. So you can't really have it both ways. You want to be able to walk away and do whatever you want to do, but then you don't want women to say, we don't need you.
Yes.
That's a problem. Then do what you're supposed to do. And stop having so many broken homes born of your seed. That's the issue. You know, and we don't want to address that. We don't want to address the men. Well, the men don't want to address themselves. They want to talk about, oh, well, she's not wife material because she thinks she's so independent, she doesn't need me. Yeah. Why does she think that, sir? Why do you think she thinks that? Because she's been raised by generations of women who have had to do it on their own. And she understands that this may be a necessity, and it's become a point of pride for her to know and be comfortable with, hey, I can be okay by myself if I have to.
Well, you know, my wife is very articulate, and this matter that she just voiced, I mean, is I couldn't say what you said any better. I mean, for one, T.D. Jakes is definitely trying to give biblical reference for what we're facing today. And he went all the way back to the book of Genesis, the first book in the Bible, where God created everything, you know, and then he created the world, the animals, then man, and then woman, you know. And so we see the order of things. But he's saying specifically that the order was thrown off when Adam stopped functioning as the lead, as the head, and he began to eat out of the woman's hand, you know. And so here we are, thousands of years later, and we're even more out of order than what was in that time, you know, to the degree to where the man, the lead, the head, has abandoned his position. He's abandoned his families. He's abandoned his children. And so, yes, a woman has had to pick up and make it happen, not only for herself, but for her children. And in that process, yes, she's picked up. She's gotten better educated. Yes, she's gotten better jobs. Need I say that our women in our culture, in the black community, are more educated than the men. I don't have that statistically, but it definitely seems that way to me, that women have been able to attain more degrees than what we have as far as men are concerned. And so our women are outpacing us. Our women are better educated than us. Our women, a lot of times, are earning more than what we are. And it's out of order. Because why? Because we've abandoned our post. You know, we've left women to fend for themselves and our children, and they've risen to that occasion, and they've been able to do it. Yeah. And so in many ways, they've been able to do it better than what we have. And so some women have taken that as a point of pride, and being able to say, hey, I guess I don't need a man. Yeah. Or point blank, I don't need a man, but I would like to have one, you know? And I can definitely understand, you know, that point of view, because, hey, just like my wife just said, women have been left and they had to fend for themselves, and now they see that they can do it, because guess what? We're at least three generations into this stuff now, to where women have been left and they've been doing it. You know, a girl has seen her mother do it. A girl has seen her grandmother do it, and maybe even her great grandmother do it. And so there it is. Does that say that that's the way it's supposed to be, or that's the right way for it to be? Not necessarily, but this is the reality.
Yeah, it's become the norm.
Yeah,
and that's a problem. What becomes the norm is like now an expectation.
Yes.
And so, unfortunately, what you see in the dating pool, you see that men know that they're to some extent a commodity.
Yeah. And
the women who really want to be in relationships, this is a blanket statement I'm making. It doesn't apply to everybody. Mm-hmm. But women who really want to be in relationships are kind of competing for what's left, right? So if we're put into this position where all this left, like, you know, a slim pickings, let's just say, a slim pickings for men. Men know they have the upper hand in that situation. They will use that situation. They will milk that situation. They will be as choosy as they want to be, because now they've become the prize.
Have multiple women.
And
the whole thing.
Some women, we don't want to put up with that. Yeah. We don't want to deal, like, I'm not competing for a man. I'm not going to fight off some lady or accept the fact, well, I know my man's going to cheat, you know, as long as he don't bring nothing home to me or have a baby on me or something. No, there's some women who are prideful in it, and they're like, no, I'm not dealing with that. So you know what? I don't need a man.
Yeah.
If one should pursue me in the way that I should be pursued, and I like him and, you know, moves forward, great. But until that time, I don't need a man. I have my career, I have this, I have that. Maybe they have a family of their own, like children, I mean. And they're not going to play this game with men. And until that order is restored, that's how it's going to be. And you're going to see more and more women come into that sense of self, gain that pride, gain that confidence to be like, you know what? Whatever it is I can do it by myself. I'm not going to have to be bothered with a man. I'm not going to let a man drag me into this foolish game of dating where he thinks he's the prize. If I got to do it by myself, I've got to do it by myself.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think TD Jakes is right. I think, you know, you can liken hurt to necessity if you want to, in the way that he put it. I'm sure both of those are tied in there.
Yeah.
One is not mutually exclusive of the other. I'm sure it hurts women by and large to be abandoned when they really shouldn't have to do that job by themselves. So yes, you know, it's born out of hurt. It's born out of, I think, the mentality. Touch that screen, babe. It's born out of mentality of the men, unfortunately, in our culture, in our society, who are, you know, taking advantage of the situation for what it is.
Yes.
And you know, it does work both ways. There are some things that women can do if we could collectively do it to all like stand up together and be like, we're not putting up with this nonsense. Yeah. Well, we ain't gonna do it because we're not. There's not enough of this. I'll say there's too many of us left who are willing to be, dare I say, pick-me's. And I can't stand it because y'all are messing it up for everybody else.
Cultural terms.
But yeah, I mean, they're going to be pick-me's and they're going to pretty much ruin our chances of advancing together because they're willing to take what's left. They're willing to scrape the bottom of the barrel. They're willing to fight. They're willing to make the man the prize. They're willing to let the man drive them to work in their car and drop them off and go and sleep on their couch. They're just willing to accept the bare minimum just to say they have a man. And as long as we got too many women around like that, then we're going to have this predicament.
Yeah.
I mean, again, if we can pull that sermon up and see more, maybe TD Jakes has some insight as to how we turn this thing around.
I mean, because it does need to be. And let me be very transparent. I am not a TD Jakes supporter, but some of those things that he said in that small clip, I agree with. I really do. Now, there are some other things that I strongly disagree with him on, in regards to the Bible and being biblically sound. Strongly disagree. But I think he was hitting it out of the park with that, with what we saw in that clip anyway.
Yeah.
And so it's some things I think that people, women and men in our culture, really need to step back and to listen to. First of all, stop taking things so personal. You know, I know it's ingrained in a man to want to feel needed. I get that. It's a need of a man to want and to feel to be needed and to be respected. Trust me, you don't get any argument with me on that. But you also got to step back and understand how we got here, you know? And this just didn't happen because a woman wanted to take over and then needed to be needed to be in charge and needed to not want to need a man. It just didn't happen like that. And so my wife is 100% right when she's saying, how do we get it back in order? Because things are out of order. And so that's it. That's the big thing. How do we get it back in order? I don't have the answer tonight. I wish I did, but I don't.
One thing I heard TD Jakes say was, you know, until you create a need for me that I can pour into.
He did say
and that. I don't know if, at least on that one particular point, if I agree with him really, because I can't create a need for you. It's artificial. It's going to come off disingenuous for me to say, you know what I really need you to do is X, Y, and Z that I've been doing by myself all this time. At this point, what we have is, like you said earlier, women who don't need a man, but they want a man. They want a man in their life. They want to share something with them. They want them to be their partner, but there's not a need. I'm not relying upon you for some financial support or some physical support. Now I need you on an emotional level. Now I need you to be my companion. I need you to be my sounding board, my support system.
Yes.
You know, my friend.
Yeah.
Just my partner all the way around. And so that's the need at this point that you're feeling.
Yeah. So the need, obviously we're working this out right on camera here. So the need is not necessarily from the standpoint of overriding anything in your singleness. You know, yes, you don't need someone to pay your bills. You don't need someone to do X, Y, and Z around the house. You know, you don't need those things. But when it comes to the relationship, then that's when the need comes in. Because guess what? We can't have a relationship by ourselves. Right. You know, and so when the relationship is established, then guess what? There are some needs, and guess what? That goes back to the Bible. That goes back to the Bible because when in the book of Genesis, after God had created Adam, he said that it's not good for a man to be alone. And so when he's saying that it's not good for man to be alone, so obviously there's a need, you know, somewhere.
It sounds like they need us though, don't it, ladies? See, I always thought that was peculiar. He said it was not good for man to be alone. He never said it wasn't good for women to be alone.
Woman can't be by herself either.
He didn't say that. He didn't say that.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
I didn't see that in the Bible. Yeah. He said it's not good for man to be alone. They need us. They need us, and they want us to need them. So, they just have to look at it differently at this point. We need them for companionship. Mm-hmm. We need them for love. We need them for partnership and the things that go along with that. And along the way, we're going to need them for other things. But first and foremost, that's what they need to pour into. So that would be my response to TD Jake there, is that pour into what I need emotionally. Pour into what I need just as a support system for my relationship with you. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to open the door. There's going to be more needs because we're going to want to buy a bigger house and I'm going to need your income. Or we're going to want to... I'm going to need you to take out the garbage, right? I'm going to need you to do some physical stuff. Like, I can't reach this light bulb. But I'm going to, those needs are going to grow. And I'm going to become more and more comfortable with allowing you to take on this role. Yes. But right now, y'all got to gain that trust back to have some needs, for yourselves from us. Because we didn't learn how to climb the step stool and put the light bulbs in by ourselves. You know what I'm saying? We didn't learn how to go to school at night and further our education and get a promotion on our own. You can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. So now you're going to have to work with where we are and what you have. Yeah. So you feel that need that we have in the relationship department. Feel that need that's in our heart. And then that door is going to open in other areas.
Preach.
That would be my opinion on that.
Well, hey, that's it. We just we talked about it and we figured that one out on camera. And I think we're right on. I think that's the need. The need is not in your the need is not in your singleness. The need is when you get into the relationship.
Yeah. And let us know your thoughts. I mean, I think people with more traditional viewpoints may take issue with what I'm saying, and that's fine. That's fine. But one thing that we have to deal with is the reality of our state of being right now. Yeah. We're not living back in the early 1900s or even the 1950s. Mm-hmm. Things are a whole lot different for us as women right now. Yeah. And if we aren't able to stand up on our own, it's very possible that nobody's going to come around and save us. So there's a need within ourselves for us to be independent to some extent. But let us know. I mean, I'm open to having a discussion about it. If you see a better way, if there's another approach, if a different approaches work for you, that's fine. If you agree with us, let us know that too. But, we have to evolve with the way that the world is functioning. Yeah. And sometimes that requires a little bit of change and adjustment. So, like I said, please comment, let's talk about it, like, share, subscribe, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.